Well, what's up? It's iCkEdMeL. Good afternoon. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. And we're going to be watching a little bit of...
If you want to eat healthy and feel...
sorry about that. I always do that. We're going to be watching a little bit of Ethan Crumley's parents. They were in court today, as well as Ethan Crumley. The parents thing is not too long. I think it's like 30 minutes. Ethan Crumley is like almost 5 minutes or something like that. And whatever doesn't get covered in the videos, I have an article that's pretty interesting that kind of recaps everything too for the people that join after. But yo, thank you guys for stopping by this afternoon. Make sure the chat's working. There we go. What's up? What's up? Today I was working on, just a little quick FYI, I was working on a missing person that everybody's been talking about, which there's a lot of missing people. And so it's requiring quite a bit of notes and stuff like that. But I spent my morning working on that. I don't think it's going to come out today. Maybe this weekend, maybe on Monday. But hopefully it should be a good video. It'll take quite a bit of work. And I might come out with another short video later today. I see some people talking about Lena. I heard or saw some of the stuff, weird mystery stuff. I don't know what's going on with that. Still missing. They canceled the Amber Alert, I guess. I don't know. And thank you for the people that came through last night for the plaque. Appreciate that. Gracias. Let me get started here. So yeah, I just wanted to pop in and do this kind of, I guess, somewhat brief stream. It's not going to be too long. Let me put this on the screen here. Oh, where am I at? There we go. That's weird. I'm missing one of my options here. All right, let's roll like this for now until I figure it out. This was like about an hour or two ago, by the way. And if you guys wouldn't mind hitting like, please, I'd appreciate it. YouTube's been kind of weird lately. I don't know what is going on with YouTube, with monetization, the likes on the comment thing or the community tab. I don't know.
Record starting with the prosecutor first, please.
Aaron McDonald on behalf of the people.
Thank you. Mark Keast on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Marielle Lehman on behalf of James and Jennifer Crumbley.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm Shannon Smith on behalf of James and Jennifer Crumbley. Today is the date and time set for the defendant's motion to amend bond. The court is hearing this motion by Zoom. Both defendants are at the Oakland County Jail and are appearing by Zoom, as are their attorneys and the prosecutor. Any objection to appearing by Zoom, prosecutor?
No, Your Honor.
Defense counsels?
None, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor. Again, this is the defendant's motion to amend a bond. Keep in mind that the court has had the opportunity to review both the motion and the prosecutor's response. Go ahead with any oral argument, and please try not to repeat anything that's already contained in your pleadings that the court did review.
Thank you, Your Honor. As the court is aware, MCS 6.106F provides the criteria for determining an appropriate bond. The defense has filed a motion, which we are aware that the court has reviewed and has read thoroughly. However, there are a number of false, misleading, and irrelevant statements made by the prosecution in its response, which we will address today. First, the information provided by the prosecution related to extramarital relationships is not only clearly irrelevant to the issue of bond or any criminal responsibility, but is also a clear intention by the prosecution to create a conflict between the parties. Your Honor,
So they're talking about, because I was reading in the article that there's supposedly like these extra, I don't know if it was both of them or just the mother. They're having these extramarital things on the side, and I guess it was brought up in court. Let me keep playing it. I'll find the article.
there is no conflict. We have explained and discussed the matter of extramarital relationships with our clients, and there are no issues. Finally, any evidence or information obtained about extramarital relationships and subsequently used in the prosecution's response runs afoul of the Michigan Supreme Court's holding in People versus Hughes, which is 506 Mich 512. In that case, which is an appeal from an Oakland County jury trial, the Michigan Supreme Court held that any evidence of other crimes discovered during the execution of a search warrant falls outside the scope of the search warrant, and use of that information is effectively a warrantless search and violates the defendant's Fourth Amendment rights. Secondly, Your Honor, in Ethan's journal, which was provided in...
So with regards to the extramarital thing here, it says, despite signs of sadness and disturbing text messages, his mom engaged in an extramarital affair, and both parents spent hours each week tending to the family's horses. I think they were behind on their mortgage too. There was something too, and I think they're going to talk about it in the video. If not, we'll cover it after. But they were talking about that Ethan kept a bird's head in a jar, and I think his dog had died recently, and like his friend moved away, and like all this stuff. And his parents were out being a mess and doing their own thing on the side. Not that it excuses anything, but
in discovery, he explicitly states, and I quote, that he has to find where his dad hid the firearm. This statement, in Ethan Crumbley's own words, is contrary to the false and misleading assertions that have been made by the prosecution in this case. The assertions that the firearm was freely accessible to Ethan Crumbley. Further, Your Honor, the prosecution cites People v. Head 323 Mich. App 526 and People v. Bryson, which is an unpublished opinion from the Michigan Court of Appeals, as support for their position that they have a strong case against our clients. Both cases, Your Honor, are completely distinguishable from the matter pending before this court. In fact, both cases involve firearms that were stored loaded with ammunition and in a location known to the juvenile. Your Honor, finally, the prosecution references an incident involving torturing animals and Ethan Crumbley keeping a bird head. His parents were completely unaware that Ethan had engaged in any sort of torturous behavior. They had no knowledge of an incident involving a bird head. In fact, again, Your Honor, in Ethan's journal, which was provided in discovery, he makes clear that any such conduct was carried out in the manner in which his parents would not be aware. Your Honor, we filed our motion after we'd received discovery because there had been a change in circumstances. As we noted in our motion, the prosecution has changed its position, and some of Ms. McDonald's statements have been changed in her media interviews as to the existence of discovery or the existence of statements or the existence of facts in this case. Your Honor, the bond is currently set at $500,000 cash or surety, no 10%. Based on the new information that was provided in discovery that is in the possession of the prosecution and also in our possession, we're asking that the court reconsider bond and reduce the bond to $100,000 cash or surety. We do agree, Your Honor, and would consent to the use of a GPS tether as the court has previously ordered.
so they want to lower the bond from $500K, I think it is, to $100.
Your Honor, you're on mute.
Ms. Lehman, I assume your argument as it relates to both defendants, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, any response from the prosecutor's office, and who is responding?
Yes, Your Honor, I am going to address the issue of flight with regard to bond decisions. Mr. Peace is going to outline the facts of the case. And of course, we absolutely object that we have changed positions, but I'm going to leave that for Mr. Peace to outline. Bernard, as you know, one of the underlying factors here is whether or not defendants are a flight risk. And one of the things to consider for the court, as you know, is ties to the community. Your Honor, the defendant's employment is something that I need to highlight. James Crumley had employment as a delivery person for DoorDash. That's employment that is entirely discretionary and is up to the actual individual. Jennifer Crumbley's employment has been terminated by her employer since the charges were issued. All of the items in their home are being removed and put into storage. Their home is being placed on the market for sale, according to their own attorneys. Their family members in Florida are negotiating the sale of their horses, which is the only other asset they have. And with regard to ties in the community, there are no longer existing ties in this community But even more importantly, the only ties these two individuals have, other than their son, who is awaiting trial, is their ties are out of state. Both defendants' families live in Florida. Defendant James Crumbley's other children, his parents and siblings live in Florida. Jennifer Crumbley's father, mother, and brother live in Florida. These family members all have been supporting and handling their affairs. These are some of the same family members who've been arranging their items placed in storage, the sale of their horses, and putting their home up for sale. Finally, with regard to flight, we need to talk about and address what Jennifer and James Crumbley did on November 30th, just hours after their son murdered children in a school. They started making plans. On November 30th at 4:42, defendant Jennifer Crumbley texted a contact she needed to sell her horses stat. Upon information and belief in charges against their bank accounts, they drove to a pier and stayed a night in a hotel. At some point on this date, they also purchased a total of 4 cell phones, 2 of which were duplicate numbers, which were provided to law
You like the full
enforcement,
screen better?
and 2 additional ones were numbers that they did not provide to law enforcement. At an unknown time on that day, additionally, they drained their son's bank account, transferring $3,000 into their own account, leaving him with a balance of 99 cents. On December 1st, at around 9 a.m., they checked into a local hotel in Oakland County within miles from your court, Your Honor. At 11:23, more contacts were discussed about the sale of the horses for $5,000. On December 2nd, at 9 a.m., a withdrawal of $2,000 was made from their bank account. Text messages and testimony will reveal that the Crumbleys expected to be criminally charged the next day. On December 3rd, at 9:30 in the morning, they checked out of that hotel. Before leaving, they abandoned their second car in the back parking lot with a plate facing back. At 10:05, Jennifer Crumbley responded to a text about finalizing the sale of the horses and indicated that they were awaiting charges announced at 12 o'clock. At approximately 10 o'clock, she called Andre Sikora and said they needed someplace to sit while decisions were made. They had nowhere else to go. At 9:16, they withdrew an additional $4,000 in cash from their bank account. They then drove to a location at 1111 Bellevue, Detroit. At 12 noon, the swear-to was performed in your court and charges were announced. Once they arrived at this building, they never left the premises except once to smoke, and also when James Crumbley moved their car so that the license plate would not be visible. And at approximately 1:30, they told Andre Sikora that they had been charged criminally. At that point, they requested that he leave the the studio and go get provisions for them. They asked for vodka, orange juice, and socks. He also secured a mattress and bedding for them. At 10:47 p.m., opposing counsel texted to the fugitive apprehensive team that we will get them in. They wouldn't have paid us what they paid if they planned to run. At 10:50, officers were dispatched to that location. Once inside in the art studio, they remained in the locked doors, even after multiple law enforcement officials entered the building and announced loudly and repetitively, police. They remained behind the locked door, crouched by a mattress.
And we saw that on the previous, I think the previous stream where the cops came in the building and like you see them getting them out of whatever room that was.
On the floor. Once they were taken into custody, they possessed Jennifer's social security card, more than a dozen credit cards and gift cards, 4 cell phones, $6,600 in cash. And 2 of those cell phones were trapped burner phones, and one they had smashed in an attempt to destroy it. Your Honor, these are not the actions of individuals who wanted to turn themselves in. They had knowledge of the pending charges based on their text messages. And what did they do? They didn't go across the street. There was a police station across the street from their hotel. There was nothing that was preventing them from staying right there. They didn't go to the court. They didn't turn themselves in. They fled to another county, and nothing prevented them from staying in Oakland County. Once they left the county, they went to an undisclosed industrial site where they tried to conceal their presence. And once the charges were issued and they were informed, they asked Sikora to purchase bedding for them along with vodka and orange juice and other food items. Their phones they possessed were unknown numbers to law enforcement, and they purposely concealed themselves and their car. Even up until the last moment, they didn't open the door. They remained behind a closed door, crouched on the corner, and they were apprehended with $6,600 of cash and 10 credit cards. They are a serious risk of flight, and we urge you to deny their motion. Mr. Peace will address the issues of likelihood of conviction. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Honor, defense counsels have alleged that we can't prove our case. Under the court rule, under MCR 6.106, they're certainly free to do that. But when they do, we have an obligation to correct the record. Our response provided this court with just a snapshot of what the evidence will show when the examination begins on February the 8th of this year. This case is strong. The defendants will be convicted. Once they're convicted, they will go to prison. They're charged each with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. It's important to remember that these counts of involuntary manslaughter are based upon alternative theories. They are not mutually exclusive. They committed these crimes by being grossly negligent in the storage of that firearm or by breaching their duty as parents. The evidence admitted will prove both of these theories. The evidence will show that Ethan Crumbley was gravely troubled. He was fascinated with firearms. He was violent. He displayed terrifying tendencies and behaviors, and he literally sketched out what he had planned to do in his journal and his drawings. Even a cursory review of the forensic examination the cell phone seized showed that the negligence on the part of these defendants and their failure to perform the duties of their parents far precedes November the 30th. The evidence will show that as far back as March of 2000.
Nah, somebody said, does he have dip in his mouth? Nah, I don't think so. It kind of looks like it, but I don't think so. Man, that'd be pretty wild.
21. Ethan Crumbley would text his mother, Jennifer, on more than one occasion, and always when he was home alone, that he thought there was a demon, a ghost, or someone else inside the home. These weren't one-time messages. He would repeatedly text what he was perceiving to his mother, who sometimes would not respond for hours. The evidence recovered from Ethan Crumbley's phone shows that in May of 2021, he was torturing and killing animals. He did this at the family home. He filmed himself doing it. That film was on his phone. Not only did he film those actions, but he kept the severed head from a bird that he had tortured and mutilated in a jar in his room for 6 months. The evidence recovered thus far shows that Ethan Crumbley was creating Molotov cocktails at the family residence as well. That phone extraction also revealed that he searched school shootings and firearms so often on his phone that he received spam advertisements regarding his mental well-being and firearms. We have found that Ethan Crumbley was also fascinated with guns and Nazi propaganda. He purchased a Nazi coin from Amazon and kept it in plain view in his bedroom. A notebook recovered from the family home was recovered. It appeared to have been shared by all members of the household as it depicted Nazi symbols on one page and a grocery list on the other. He would regularly ask his parents when he could go shooting, and he bragged about how he'd been asking for a 9mm handgun. A second notebook found, not hidden, but in plain view in the family home, depicted pictures of firearms on literally every page. So at this point, Judge, the evidence shows a 15-year-old who has repeatedly informed.
If you guys could help me out with the likes too, I'd really appreciate that. Trying to get back into the swing. Things are a little bit funky with YouTube, seems like.
His parent that he was hallucinating. The same 15-year-old continuously demonstrated tendencies that were worrisome, all able to be found by his parents. He demonstrated one real passion in life, and that was firearms. His parents obviously know what had been directly told to them, but they did not intervene. They did not schedule therapy, did not investigate what might be in his room on his phone or his browser history. They didn't even keep their other weapons secured. And we know that because there was a video recovered from Ethan Crumbley's phone from August of 2021.
Thank you, guys.
With him holding James Crumbley's .22 caliber Kel-Tec pistol in one hand, bullets in the magazine around in the chamber. He sent messages to a friend, "It's time to shoot up the school, JK, JK, JK." That was in August of 2021. The evidence will also show at the exam that Ethan Crumbley's one real friend, the one he sent that video to in August, left the state in late October. His parents knew that. They acknowledged the effect that it had on their son. And again, they failed to provide any type of intervention. Instead, they bought him what he desperately wanted, a 9mm Sig Sauer handgun. They bought that for him on November the 26th of 2021. Now, we know they bought it for him because we have the video from Acme Firearms that shows Ethan Crumbley standing next to James Crumbley. Then we also know that Ethan Crumbley posted a picture of him holding that firearm that same day, talking about his new firearm. He went shooting with his mother, Jennifer Crumbley, at another shooting range on November the 27th. She posted on her social media page about her shooting the firearm and about his new Christmas present. We know that Ethan Crumbley posted pictures of that firearm on YouTube. We know that he bragged about it to a friend. We have the video from the shooting range on November the 27th that clearly shows Ethan Crumbley was the one who knew how to manipulate and operate that firearm, and he showed Jennifer Crumbley how to do so. That evidence will be admitted at the examination. Even after they bought the gun, they could have secured it, but they failed to do so. They gave inconsistent statements about how the gun was secured. There were no statements made by either defendant that was actually locked up. All this was happening while Ethan Crumbley is planning to commit a mass murder. He wrote pages and pages about what he was going to do in his journal. He filmed a video of himself talking about what he was going to do. He shot that video at the family home. He stopped doing schoolwork and was surprised when his parents didn't seem to notice or care. And then we get to November the 29th, the day before the shooting. On that day, Ethan Crumbley is caught by his teacher looking up ammunition. Other students see him with shell casings and live rounds as well. His teacher immediately notified the appropriate parties within the school, who in turn met with Ethan, and they left a message for Jennifer Crumbley. She didn't answer the phone call, and she didn't respond to the voicemail that was left. Instead, she texted Ethan Crumbley asking about what had happened. She asked him if he had shown them a picture of his gun, and she also said, next time, don't get caught. The next day, November the 30th, Ethan's caught by one teacher viewing violent videos that depicted a shooting. Another teacher observed that he drew what's been admitted as an exhibit in Peoples 1 and 2. Those teachers notified the dean of students and the counselor at the school. They took Ethan out of class and met with him. After reviewing the words written on the worksheet, those individuals formed the belief that Ethan was displaying suicidal ideation, and a risk assessment for suicide was performed. A decision was quickly made to notify Ethan's parents, these defendants, and to have an immediate meeting with both of them. When Jennifer Crumbley was called to the school, she first asked if they could call her husband instead. When she was informed that they tried to call her husband, but when he picked up, they only heard dead air, she then responded, well, I'll see if he can come to the school. Eventually, they both arrived together at the school. They're given the opportunity to view the worksheet that Ethan Crumbley drew, what's been admitted as Exhibit 1 and 2, and they're told that immediate therapy is needed. Immediate as in that day. They resisted, instead asserting that they couldn't possibly...
They pissed. The parents say, nah, it's bullshit. That's BS. Parents ain't having it.
...possibly take him out of school because of work. We have since learned that Jennifer Crumbley's employer would have gladly given her the day off, and she did not have any meetings scheduled until later in the day. As you've heard Prosecutor McDonald state, Judge,
damn, she's laughing.
We
too.
also learned that James Crumbley was a DoorDash driver, giving him ample opportunity, to bring Ethan Crumbley with him.
Well, it wasn't like a laugh. It was like a laugh of like, this is BS kind of thing. Yo, thank you again, you guys, for joining. I appreciate it. I just want to jump in this afternoon, touch on this a little bit because we were covering it previously, but I am working on some other projects, so don't worry. Don't worry about that.
When they were given the drawing, neither one of them bothered to mention that the gun drawn by Ethan bore a striking resemblance to the gun they bought for him 4 days before. They never bothered to mention they didn't keep that gun in a gun safe, locked and secured. They also never bothered to mention that Ethan had displayed any of the troubling behavior that I had outlined. Instead, they said they couldn't take him home, and Jennifer's words to end the meeting were, "Are we done here?" This caused the counselor so much concern that he gave him a 48-hour deadline to call therapy, or to begin therapy, or he would call CPS. And that is the evidence that will be admitted when those witnesses testify at the preliminary examination. The timing is important as well. The defendants left the school at roughly 10:55 a.m. The shooting didn't begin until 12:51 p.m. The Crumbleys lived just down the road from Oxford High School. Even if for some reason they didn't want to tell the school about what they knew, they had ample opportunity to drive home, take 2 minutes to see if the gun was still there. They failed to do so. But when news of the shooting broke, each of them quickly concluded that their son was the one responsible. James went to his house and called 911, telling dispatcher that the gun was missing and his son might have done it. Jennifer texted Ethan and said, "Don't do it." She also texted a coworker that the gun was missing, and she was concerned that Ethan was responsible. Judge, this is a snapshot of the evidence.
Yeah, this is Jennifer. I mean, I'm covering her name with myself here, but that's Jennifer. That's the mother. That's James Crumley. A lot of facial expressions. Looks like a lot of disbelief or thinking it's BS.
It will be admitted on February the 8th and the ensuing dates for the preliminary examination. Search warrant returns are still coming in. We expect, based upon what we've seen so far, that the additional evidence will be inculpatory as well. I expected the examination to lay out the facts and to give rise to these 4 charges. I expect this court will find probable cause to move this case on. At this juncture, I don't believe there is any reason why this court should amend the bond that was previously set. This court will have every opportunity to evaluate the facts and the evidence when presented at the appropriate time. I ask that these defendants' motion deny, Judge.
Thank you.
Your Honor, may I have a brief rebuttal? Just
Very brief, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. As the court is aware, shortly after the shooting on November 30th of 2021, the Crumbley's home address was listed on the internet, and was also discussed on the record at their arraignment. Prior to being charged and arrested, they had received and been made aware of a plethora of threats to their lives and to their safety, and had to leave their home. The sale of their home has been necessary, as it is no longer a safe location for them to live, but it has nothing to do with a flight risk. Your Honor, further, and of importance, is the prosecution in this case is trying to avoid the fact that the defense had repeatedly tried to contact them and to connect all day to make plans to turn our clients in on the charges that had been sworn to at noon that day. So, Your Honor, they were not trying to flee, Your Honor. They are not a flight risk. They were not a flight risk, and we're asking that the court grant our motion to reduce the bond.
Thank you. All right, we are here today for purposes of the defendant's motion to reduce bond. The court has had the opportunity to review the pleadings that were submitted by both parties, along with listening to oral argument today. I want to point out that the court rule that applies to this case is MCR 6.106. That court rule requires that the court set a bond that will assure reasonably assure appearances of the defendant for all court hearings, and also reasonably assure any risk and or evaluation of risk to public safety. The factors that the court is to consider are all listed in subsection F of the court rule. Those factors, and they are not mutually exclusive, but those factors include prior criminal history, and in this case, the defendants did have a prior misdemeanor conviction in the state of Florida. Their record of appearances or non-appearances at court proceedings or flight to avoid prosecution, the defendant's history of substance abuse or addiction, the seriousness of the offense charged, the presence or absence of threats, and the probability of conviction
As judge
and
right there.
likely sentence, the defendant's employment status and history, and financial history as the factors relate to the ability to post, and facts indicating that the defendant's ties to the community, including family ties and relationships, and lengths of residency. In this case, the court makes the following finding: that the defendants in this case have ties to the state of Florida. In fact, they did reside in the state of Florida, and as the prosecutor indicated, they still have family in the state of Florida. After the charges were issued, the defendants did not voluntarily turn themselves in. Instead, they were found in an abandoned building in the city of Detroit. Their vehicle.
We just saw his head too. He's like shaking his head like, no, that's not true.
Issued, the defendants did not voluntarily turn themselves in. Instead, they were found in an abandoned building in the city of Detroit. Their vehicle was hidden to the extent that they were trying to avoid anybody being able to see their license plate. They withdrew a substantial amount of money from bank accounts, and they were not answering attorneys' calls. The seriousness of the charges, I think, is self-explanatory. They are each charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. So taking all those factors into consideration, the court finds that the bond as set is reasonable and is denying the motion to amend the bond. We will continue to the preliminary examination on February 8th. And at that point, the court will make a determination as to whether or not other days are necessary for purposes of conducting the preliminary examination. Before we disconnect, I do want to have a conversation with all attorneys in a breakout room. So Amy, if you could please put the attorneys in a breakout room with me, please.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Judge.
Dr. Latina, I saw your comment last night. Thank you so much for the PayPal. I was in bed. I was already falling asleep and I lost your message, but I did see it. So, and I checked just now. Thank you so much for that. Wow. Wait, what's she doing? Is she waving at us? Like, or at the camera or something? Oh, I heard her attorney. Lourdes, thank you. Man, I wish we could hear what they're saying. I got this like cough the other day while we wait and we watch their facial expressions. I figure we can check them out. But I started getting this cough the morning of, or the early morning hours of like when I finished my like break or vacation kind of thing. And then I started thinking, damn, man, is it just a cough? Is it a cold? Is it one of the various new strains they're coming out with? Now they got something called Flurona. When I heard of that, I thought it was a joke. I thought, nah, this ain't for real. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh shit, this is for real. They got another thing, Flurona. Another thing to be afraid of. And so I guess basically it's a combination of the flu and the other thing, you know? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's just kind of like ridiculous. Sister Sherry, thank you so much for the super chat. These parents and not parents. Flurona's out there, man. You guys gotta watch out now. Maybe I got something. I need to go, I guess, get tested again. The last time I got tested, I was negative, but yeah, I'm in Florida, man. We're wild over here. Everybody's just out and about doing whatever. It's like normal. I mean, it's people wear their masks too, but I was like, damn, bro, they just keep coming up with shit because they came out with a new strain the other day, right? There was some, it wasn't Omicron, not Omicron. That's a new one, but then there was some other strain, they said, and now they got the Flurona. I was like, damn. And they said it isn't new. Let's see. So we're gonna listen to the Ethan Crumley portion is really short. I think he waived his right to, I forgot what it's called, the terminology. I think usually they're supposed to bring out like evidence and stuff like that to move forward, and he waived his right. I'm guessing they're just gonna move straight forward. I saw another article too stating, if I could find it somewhere, I have a bunch of links because I was working on other things. Supposedly one of his attorneys saying that maybe, let me look it up first before I even say it. Ethan Crumley's attorney says guilty plea possible in Oxford shooting case. Maybe he'll plead guilty. But yeah, I got like this weird, just here like in my throat, kind of itching. You know, everybody's been getting sick. A lot of people that I've spoken to, their families, their kids, just it feels like it's just unavoidable. Like there's nothing you can do. It's just in the air. You know, it's just, and every strain that comes out is just more transmissible. And again, they're back now.
Okay, we are back on.
Maybe.
I did, was in a breakout room with all counsel. And at this point in time, we are going to proceed to the preliminary examination on February 8th. Any future dates that need to be scheduled will be addressed on that date and time. Additionally, after discussions with counsel, or all counsel, I should say, the court will be expecting an amended order from the attorneys relative to the protective order in accordance with our conversations. Okay, any questions on behalf of the prosecutor?
No, Your Honor.
Any questions on behalf of defense counsel?
No, Your Honor.
No, thank you, Judge.
All right, you're all set. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So they denied the motion, the bail reduction. They wanted to reduce the bail. I think it was to 100K. I think it said at 500K. They wanted it reduced to 100K, and it was denied. All right, can I get out of here? Or am I stuck? Thank you, Amy. Sunclads. The mom said to hubby, "It's bullshit." Oh, hey, it looked like they weren't having it. This article, which is a really great article, kind of covers everything we just watched, but so I won't go through the whole thing, but I'll just show you in case anybody hasn't seen this. I guess this was one of like the drawings. So all three Crumleys face criminal charges in the shooting of Oxford High School, at the Oxford High School, in which Ethan Crumley is accused of killing 4 people and wounding 7. Ethan Crumley, 15, faces 24 counts of first-degree murder, terrorism, and felony firearm charges. His parents face 4 counts each of involuntary manslaughter. And so, like, I think this is the one from that day in class. I'll read you the details, but just so you can kind of see. Can I flip myself? Oh, there we go. Make myself a little smaller. Okay. Video game this is like, it looks like a body or something, you know, on the floor, blood. The thoughts won't stop. And it looks maybe like a pistol there. OHS Rocks, Oxford High School. I love my life so much. It's like he was almost trolling. Harmless act. My life is useless, I think. The wound is dead. We're all friends here. So this is before it was scratched out. Exhibit 1. A filing from Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald. That's the lady we saw at the bottom corner, showing an image of the picture of Ethan Crumley allegedly drew the day of the shooting at Oxford High School. And then you can see here in Exhibit 2, the one we're watching, it's like crossed out, and it says, "This is Exhibit 2, a filing from Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald, showing an image of the picture Ethan Crumley allegedly drew the day of the shooting at Oxford. Exhibit 2 shows that some images and words have been crossed out, and other positive messages have been added, such as, 'I love my life so much. We're all friends here.'" So Exhibit 1 and 2, the filings show 2 versions of the drawing that landed Ethan Crumley in the high school office on November 30th. The first is how the drawing initially appeared when a teacher captured a screenshot and alerted a counselor to her concerns. The second is how the drawing appeared in the school office after the teen had allegedly modified it. So he's like, I guess, changed it to be like, "I'm good, I'm cool." In the original, a math homework sheet is overwritten with a drawing. There is a gun, a bullet, and a bleeding shooting victim. At different points, handwritten additions to the page read, "My life is useless, blood everywhere, and the thoughts won't stop, help me." I mean, dude. In the version allegedly changed, the shooting victim, the gun, and the bullet are crossed out, as is "blood everywhere, help me, and my life is useless." Crying, laughing emoji appears along with video game this is. It's like he's just crossing it out or writing this crap up. So like, all right, I'm good. Send me back. And like, okay, that's fine, Timmy. You can go back. Fucking crazy. Oh, sorry. I shouldn't be. It's early too. I'm trying not to curse. And so this real quick too, we'll recap on this. Supposedly the family dog died recently, and Jennifer Crumley was involved in an affair with another man and was in communication with that man in the midst of the turmoil on November 30th, according to the filing. He's not identified. Prosecutors argued that Ethan Crumley had been sending his mother disturbing texts about his state of mind, and his parents were made aware in graphic form of the serious risk posed by their son prior to the shooting. This is not a case of hindsight where parents later wish they could have done something, they wrote. So, I mean, a lot of this is kind of like the video that we just saw, the bird in the jar, which is kind of crazy. Like, where the hell are these parents at? This guy has all this stuff in his room, and he's just chilling with a jar and a bird head inside. And supposedly he was known to have killed animals. So, let me show you this portion here now. This was from a couple hours ago as well. I'm just going to skip forward. Oh, wait. Where we actually start. Okay. Maybe not that far. 5 seconds in. Real quick. If you guys are having issues with like being timed out, I guess I have to kind of fix it. Just email me. If you've been blocked, you don't think you should have been blocked, or like too much timing out or something, whatever. And we're going to deal with this too on the side. I'm not going to take away from the stream right now, but just send me an email, because there's a lot of weird stuff that's kind of been going on. And so I just want to see if I can pinpoint it. So if you have any issues, just shoot me an email or a DM on Facebook or Twitter. Well, not Twitter, because the message request thing, I just never check the message request.
Sure, you can start admitting everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning. We're just waiting for the jail to connect, and they're doing that right now.
Great.
Mark
Judge,
East.
did the court receive the signed form?
Yes, thank you. We just got it.
I wonder if this should start. I don't know.
Okay, calling the case of People versus Ethan.
That's kind of tricky, though. Should they start going after parents for what the kids do? I guess it depends, right? In this kind of case, it seems like the parents had way ample knowledge of like all this stuff, and they bought the gun, like.
And Crumley, this is case number 216611. Your appearances, please.
Thank you, Judge. Mark East on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Prosecutor Kelly Collins appearing on behalf of the people as well.
And I think you're muted, Ms. McDonald.
Thank you. Sarah McDonald on behalf of the people.
Thank you. And
Good morning, Your Honor. Paulette Michelle Lofton on behalf of Mr. Crumbley, and we are agreeing to appear by Zoom this morning.
Thank you. Ms. Hopp?
Good morning, Your Honor. Amy Hopp on behalf of Ethan Crumbley.
And Ms. McKelvey?
Good morning, Your Honor. Deborah H. McKelvey, court-appointed guardian ad litem for Ethan Crumbley, and I have no objections to proceeding with this matter on Zoom this morning.
Thank you. Mr. Crumley, this is Judge Karniak. Could you please state your name for us?
Robert Crumbley.
Mr. Crumley, if at any time you cannot hear or understand myself or any of the parties to the proceeding, will you please let the court know?
Yes.
And we're
Yeah, I took off the weird captions. I don't know. Looks like it was a glitch on Facebook, but I turned it off. I turned on the captions for YouTube, so you can use that if you need it.
handling this proceeding today remotely instead of in person at the courthouse. Is that with your consent, Mr. Crumley?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the date and time scheduled for a probable cause conference. And I do see and have received just a few moments ago a written waiver of a preliminary exam. So I just want to address that briefly. Ethan, you do have a right to a preliminary exam. You understand that?
Yes.
And it's my understanding that you have met with your attorneys, not once, but twice. You met with Ms. Lofton and Ms. McKelvey in order to discuss this matter regarding your preliminary exam. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And there was a form called waiver of preliminary exam. Did you receive that, Mr. Crumley?
Yes.
And did you read it and review it with your attorneys? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Did you read that form and review it with your attorneys?
Oh, Wesley.
Yes.
And did you understand it?
Yes.
And do you have any questions of the court regarding any of those rights?
No.
And you signed that document, correct?
Yes.
So you've been advised by 2 attorneys, but I'm also going to, on the record, just to make sure that you have absolutely no questions, also review those rights with you. So at a preliminary exam, it'd be up to the people to show 2 things: probable cause to believe a crime was committed and probable cause to believe you were the person that committed that crime. If the people were unable to prove both of those, then the case would be dismissed. Do you understand?
Yes.
Knowing that, is it still your desire to waive your right to a preliminary exam?
Yes.
By waiving your right to a preliminary exam, you'll automatically be bound over to circuit court as charged, and you will not have a chance to come back to this court for any reason as it relates to these cases. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Knowing that, is it still your desire to waive your right to a preliminary exam?
Yes.
Has anybody threatened you or promised you anything to waive your right to a preliminary exam?
No.
Thank you. I do see there is a written waiver, but I just want to verify the people also waive their right to a preliminary exam. Is that correct?
We do, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, great. Your preliminary exam will be waived. You will be bound over to circuit court as charged. As it relates to bond, it's my understanding that that issue will be addressed in the next 2 weeks pursuant to a newly enacted statute, a federal statute. And both sides would like some time to prepare for that. So instead of me retaining jurisdiction for that purpose, there will be a hearing that will be set before the Oakland County Circuit Judge within the next 2 weeks pursuant to that federal law. Anything else?
Judge. No,
Yes.
thank you, Judge, for mentioning that. I did want to place on the record that we did have a status conference this week with the attorneys and Your Honor and discussed the appropriate venue for that motion regarding the continued detention of the defendant in the Oakland County Jail to be the Oakland County Circuit Court. I know Ms. Laughlin has communicated with the Circuit Court, and they are agreeable to setting the hearing for us in the next 2 weeks.
Great.
That is correct.
Wonderful. Thank you for placing that on the record. Anything
Your
else?
Honor, and additionally, I had an opportunity to discuss that exact issue with Mr. Crumbley as well, and he understands that there will be a separate hearing at Circuit Court to address that issue and that it will not be addressed with you today.
Thank you, Ms. McKelvey, for putting that on the record. Anything else anybody wants to state on the record before I lose jurisdiction?
Not from the people. Thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank you
Nothing
all
from
for your
defense, Your Honor.
professionalism and your cooperation. The court truly appreciates it. Take care.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. To see you. Life is interesting. Thanks.
So he waived his right, and basically, I mean, according to this article here, what it is that prosecutors in Michigan typically have to present some evidence to show there's probable cause to send people to trial on felony charges, a low bar. Ethan Crumley waived his right to go through the stage, and with this other article, I just wanted to share this as well. Oh, it's the same one here. It says here that one of the reporters spoke with Crumley's attorney, Paulette, moments after Crumley waived his preliminary hearing in the Oxford High School shooting. She said that there is a possibility that Crumley could enter a guilty plea in the mass shooting, but that is dependent on the conversations with the Oakland County prosecutor, and they still have to go through more of discovery and stuff like that. So it's possible he'll plead guilty. The other thing I wanted to share real quick too, this is kind of interesting. This is a little bit old, but I don't think I saw this, and Momo sent this. This is the 911 call reveal how a bystander identified alerted police to Crumley's parents' whereabouts.
Today we are learning more.
I can't believe it. They're here.
Today we are learning more.
So this is like the area, I guess. This is like a visual of the, I don't know what this is, a building, warehouse.
More about the call that led to the arrest of James and Jennifer Crumbley early Saturday, December 4th. On December 3rd, the two were each charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter in connection with the shooting at Oxford High School. It was believed they would turn themselves in later that day, but they instead went to an art studio in Detroit. After law enforcement appealed to the public for information, a man called and said he'd found their car.
And I just went to go park my car and switch it around at my office. I'm at my office, and there was a Kia that looked like their car. And I walked around and checked the license plate, and it's their car, and the woman is here next to the car.
Now, earlier this week, the parents of the alleged Oxford school shooter asking the court back on prosecution.
Scathing. With the filings from last night, the prosecution alleges the parents made a conscious decision not to turn themselves in.
So that's stuff we know about. Latina, thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. Gracias. Oh, wait, like this. Something like that, right? Thank you. Latina says school authorities also failed to prevent tragedy. Oh, that's true. I mean, I agree. I think so. Yeah, they should have asked they should have asked parents and Ethan about access to firearms. Backpacks should have been confiscated and inspected. Ethan should have been remanded for immediate psychiatric evaluation. No standard protocol followed. Yeah. Agree. And that's pretty much the update. I don't want to make the stream too long. I want to kind of keep it short so I can work on some other stuff for you guys, some more videos. Like I said, I have this one story that I'm working on that's going to take quite a bit, a little bit. I'm working on some of the details here. Right now I'm just taking notes and taking video clips and stuff like that. But a lot of people have been talking about this story. That's coming. I was working on that this morning. And what I'm going to do, because I'm all over the place, ADD, all over the place. I think I'm going to, in a little bit, I'm going to do the Lena thing first, because this thing right now, the other story I'm working on is going to take a long time. There's no way I'll finish it today. But if I do the Lena thing, I can actually finish that today and have another video for you guys just to touch on some of the updates. Izat was reaching out to me. I forgot to reply. I was gone for a couple days, but Izat reached back out to me and wanted to talk. I'm not exactly sure what. And somebody else tweeted me too and stuff like that. And I'll try to cover it, but it's going to be a direct video. It's not going to be live. I'm going to try to start mixing a little bit of direct videos as well. And there could be changes coming to Facebook as well, but I'll let you guys know when the time comes about that. And thank you for the mods coming. I hope you guys have a happy holiday. Be safe. Everybody's getting sick. I saw somebody said they have a fatty liver and I guess they're concerned. Me personally, thankfully, I already had I was positive in August, and it was kind of like a flu, fever, cough, that kind of. I lost my taste and smell, all that stuff. Thankfully, it wasn't like horrible. At the end, like 9 days in, I decided let me go get the monoclonal or whatever it's called, because I started feeling better. I even started going out jogging, whatever. And then I don't know where I started feeling sick again. I'm like, what the hell? And so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to play around with this stuff. I just went and got the antibody stuff. Bloop, bloop. It's 4 shots. I think it was like 2 in my stomach, which was weird. And so I know like this new Omni or whatever, I think it's a little bit weaker from what I hear, but more transmissible. But for sure, people that have, conditions or whatever, you just don't know how it's going to hit you. You really don't know. I've known people that have all kinds of health conditions, and they made it out without even being hospitalized. I think that guy wasn't hospitalized, but other people hospitalized, people dying, people losing family. It's getting crazy. And so it's a lot of confusing mixed signals. Like now that what the CDC said, now it's 5 days quarantine. It's like, huh? What? I don't know, bro. And now they got the flu-rona. I can't keep up with it. But no, it definitely I gotta live my life, man. I can't be locked up in a box. But yeah, that stuff is in the air. That stuff is just everywhere. I saw one doctor talk about it, and he was like, and I saw it on YouTube. It's this doctor talking, and he said, like, there's gonna be to the point where like everybody's gonna get it eventually. Like, there's like no way. I don't know, unless you're like in a bubble. There's just no way. There was this other really interesting thing. If you're bored, if you watch Spotify, there was a really interesting podcast. I don't even want to say this guy's name because I don't know. He was on Joe Rogan podcast. It was really, really interesting what he had to say. Joe Rogan. And it got removed from YouTube. Was that? Oh, not that. Okay, yeah. This, let me put it in like a smaller screen. That was really, really dope. Really, really interesting to listen to. Might not be your thing or not. You know what I'm saying? But it was a really, really interesting listen. And he also went on this other guy's podcast recently on YouTube, Valuetainment. I forgot the name of his podcast, but he interviewed him as well there. There's this whole like debate, I guess, and back and forth within the science community. And so this guy's kind of like at the forefront of the drama, kind of. Thanks, this is pointless. Appreciate that. Oh, I still got the plaque here. I gotta go buy a frame. I need a frame for it. Oh, I missed this too message. Sorry. I see you looking, Andrews. Thank you for the members super chat. Thanks, man, for everything you do. Happy New Year. Thank you. And I think things are going to go positively too. Once I got this whole thing situated with Facebook, I think I'm going to have a lot more time to focus here on YouTube. Not that I've been posting much on Facebook, but all my efforts will be focused on here and maybe some other endeavors. Maybe I need to do like more member stuff too. I get behind on members. Tonight's Discord night, by the way. 10 p.m. Eastern. And they're saying a lot of these kids too. I think there's, let me see before I say it. I thought I feel like suicides have been increasing, but yeah, there's this one article here. Just be mindful of the kids because it's kind of tough too. You know, if the kids are stuck inside, they can't go to school. Some places I think shut down the schools. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. The one my daughter goes to, it's open. But this is a recent article, and it says suicides, homicides, and accidental deaths among minors on the rise. Medical Examiner reports. This is just for Bexar County. More kids in Bexar County died by homicide, suicide, and accidental deaths in 2020 compared to the previous 4 years. You know, so just keep an eye on the kids, man, because it was tough a little bit for Maddie too when 2020 first came around and that whole thing started, and I had to work from home, and it closed down her school, and so she was with me. I've spoken about that multiple times, so I'm not going to go too far into it. Thank you, Hotspot, for the super chat. At home, sick, but thank you for all you do. Oh, I hope you get better. I hope you get better. Take care. Take tea, fluids. I don't want to recommend anything else because they'll shut me down. But at the beginning of 2020, it was kind of it was tough for everybody because I have friends, I have parents. I was blessed because my job said, you know, work from home, and then eventually they let me go, but they couldn't do business and let a bunch of us go. But yeah, that time where Maddie was here, it was tough, man. Like the kids are just to be inside all the time. You know, on my lunch break, I take her outside, or I take her to swim, or, you know, you get creative, you come up with these games or whatever. And, you know, it had an effect. You know, she's resilient. She's great. She's an amazing child. But it was tough because sometimes we'd be driving and she'd see a school bus and she's like, school, like she'll point at the bus, or like we'll drive by a playground because at the time the playgrounds were even closed. I was like, damn, the playgrounds were even closed because everybody's afraid, didn't know what was going on. We drive by the school, she'd be pointing at the school, pointing at the playground, you know what I'm saying? So it has an effect, man. It was tough. And there's a lot of craziness. I was talking to Jasmine recently, and the things in Australia, I forgot what she called it. Some of the lockdowns in some of these places is crazy, bro. Like what they're doing in some of these places, I was like, wow. Was it Australia? And I forgot because we talked about it on Discord too. They were saying in some places they're reporting people, like neighbors and stuff, reporting people. I guess for the holidays, there's like a limit on the amount of people you can have in your household. People like reporting each other, like looking out their windows and stuff. I'm like, yo, that's you got nothing to do. Weird, man. But yeah, that stuff has an effect, and then you got all this, you know, abuse going on, and some of these people that don't want to be around the kids, now they're with the kids 24/7. And then with the homework, I had a friend that was telling me the teachers was just sending all this homework, and then it was up to like the parents to go through the like all the homework and assignments, though the school assignments. But he has to work, he has to do all these things. So how do I have time to do all these school assignments and go to work and all this stuff? It's just a mess. Ritsu said we couldn't go outside 5 kilometers of our houses in Ireland for a while. Damn. Good to be in Florida, man. It is good to be in Florida. Oh, yeah. Jasmine says Darwin Camps, New Zealand has a bracelet, damn, to wear that shows you're allowed out for 50 minutes a day. Nah, man. That can't be, bro. No way. What? New Zealand has a bracelet? No. No. I see something, an article from 2020 that we're talking about that. Let me see if there's any. I did see some talk about that. Business experts, this is from August. Business experts back ankle bracelets for isolation trial. What? Yo, it's just insane where things are going. I mean, thankfully, there's like a lot of more treatment options now. I think they're coming out with these pills and all this stuff. That podcast that I mentioned to you, it's so interesting how the doctor talked about like the trials and like the funky things these people can do to manipulate the numbers and all this stuff. He really gave some interesting insight. Business experts back ankle bracelets for self-isolation trial. You have to put a bracelet on, like an ankle bracelet. Wow. It's pretty wild. Wow. Well, all right. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Love you. Thank you. Gracias. I'll be on Discord tonight. I'm going to try to get the Lena video out before Discord. All right. So take care of yourselves. Peace. Adios. Amy, I finally caught you live. Yeah, we're ending though. Sorry. You have to rewind, but thank you for showing up. Appreciate it. The government in control, man. Got a bracelet, you got the cards, you got the chips. You're gonna have to put the chips now too. I say that sarcastically, but it's probably coming. AI, everything's gonna be AI, virtual. Everything's gonna be uploaded into the system, to the 5G towers. By the time they do that, it's probably they're already working on 6G. I'm not a crazy person with the 5G or whatever, but they're working on 6G. Chinese lab. A whole bunch of stuff going on. Chinese lab says it made a breakthrough in 6G mobile technology. How much more internet do you need? Damn. 206 gigabytes per second. Per second. .6G 6G speed set the world record 10 to 20 times faster than 5G.